Please don't even call back. I don't need your love. I got my life on track. Think I've seen enough. I put down the thumbtacks and I started thumbing racks.
What's going on, everybody? It's another episode of Left Side Heavy, the podcast, presented by Blue Wire Hustle. I'm your host, Jevin Lefebvre. You can follow me on Instagram at jevin.lefebvre, on Twitter at Jevin Lefebvre. Find everything for the show on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at leftsideheavy_. Head to the YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel Left Side Heavy to find all the full episode podcasts. Today, I welcome on my brother-in-law, or my future brother-in-law, Tanner Rennich. We touch on the full Week 6 slate of the NFL. We spotlight the primetime games. We quickly run through every other game. We touch on the John Gruden news. We hit some NHL headlines, some contract extensions, some injuries, suspensions, all that sorts of jazz. And we hit on the first week of the Canucks slate, as well as time for the press questions. It was a very packed episode, and we tried to keep it short and entertaining for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy the episode. Be sure to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, and enjoy the show. It's episode 63 of Left Side Heavy, the podcast, presented by Blue Wire Hustle. I'm your host, Jevin Lefebvre. You can follow me on Instagram at jevin.lefebvre, on Twitter at Jevin Lefebvre. Find everything for the show on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at leftsideheavy_. If you haven't headed to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel Left Side Heavy. Click the bell, like, comment, do all that sorts of jazz. Tonight, I'm welcoming back my now future brother-in-law, Tanner Rennich. How's it going, buddy?
Good, how are you, man?
Congrats on the big news. This was obviously brought up, what was it, about a week ago now?
Yeah,
Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah.
Congrats on the news, buddy. It's big.
Yeah, it's big news. Yeah,
Can't believe she said yes. Yeah, can't believe she said yes.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming.
Well, we are glad to have you within the family, but how have you been lately, despite that? What have you been up to?
Pretty good, man. I just got back from a 10-day hunting trip with some of my buddies. We were hunting moose, and it was pretty good. We got one moose, one bear, so pretty successful trip.
That's what you went down there for, so it's always good to haul something back.
Yeah, exactly.
But this was we can kind of go back to the Thanksgiving weekend because obviously some big news dropped. And we'll start in the NFL because was probably the more busier weekend. But John Gruden has resigned as the Las Vegas Raiders head coach due to emails that were found under his name that were misogynistic, considered racist, and some homophobic emails in regards to draft picks, referees, and all that sorts of jazz. I'm pretty sure there was reported like 65,000 emails found. Not like all from him, but like just amongst coaches and GMs and stuff. But what was your first initial reactions or an initial reaction to this John Gruden news?
Well, first of all, I was kind of blown away, but I mean, it's kind of like times have changed where like all this stuff is kind of coming to the surface where we're in a day and age where everything is a lot more out there with social media and stuff.
Yeah.
And as soon as something like this comes out, like it's just explodes, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And it was tough news to hear, but I mean, Gruden kind of screwed himself over and pissed away that, $10 million a year contract?
Yeah, like $100 million contract.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be tough for the Raiders now because they were off to a good start too, and I feel like without him kind of in the mix, it's going to be a bit tougher for them to... It's just a big distraction for the team, really, right?
Yeah. No, I 100% agree because like this was all kind of dropped a few days prior to Thanksgiving, and then Canadian Thanksgiving, by the way, for American listeners. But yeah, within like more and more information coming out about like what types of emails are being sent, within like 20 minutes, John Gruden resigned. So it wasn't like a couple day process since it started heating up. As soon as all of this started dropping, then Mark Davis drove over to his house, or no, drove to the stadium where John Gruden was, and then they talked, and then he was like, "Yeah, I'll just resign." So it was good that it happened, like the resignation happened quick, so it wasn't a carried on distraction, even though it still is a big distraction. But the quicker you get it over with, then the quicker people can move on. But when it came out, I was very like taken back, along with you.
And it was kind of compounded because before the season had started, Carl Nassib, who's on the Raiders, came out as being homosexual, and then all this stuff kind of comes out kind of a quarter of the way through the season. So same coach of the same team, right? So it's just like compounded, and it's way worse. The optics are just way worse, right?
No, 100%. Because that's where everyone went to first. When this news came out, it was like, what does this mean for Carl Nassib, like however you want to pronounce it, but like everyone brought that up, like, wow, like what was that locker room like? Because Carl Nassib, he couldn't have known that Gruden was that type of way, but we don't know how Gruden was like behind closed doors. And so, yeah, it was like, what was going through Gruden's mind when that information about Nassib came out, right?
Yeah, it's tough to kind of think about what he was really thinking deep down, but I mean, it's definitely not a good look for him.
No, I completely agree, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see where the Raiders go from here on out. I mean, they had a big win this weekend, but how's the rest of the season going to carry out?
I really hope that they can kind of work through it and they do kind of keep things rolling, because I think they are a pretty solid team, and it'd be nice to see them kind of keep it going.
No, for sure. I totally agree. All right, let's we're gonna rewind. We're gonna again stay within the NFL, and we're gonna rewind back to Thursday night. Tampa versus Eagles. Tampa wins 20-22. Eagles with the backdoor cover. These assholes. I had a parlay, 2 within the NHL, and then the -7 spread. And all I needed was the Bucks to cover by like 8 points. And when the Eagles converted that 2-point conversion, I almost like tore our basement apart. It was just like, I mean, like Tampa pretty much outplayed them the whole entire game. Brady got away with 1 interception, and then like he threw one not too long after. But what was your thoughts on the game, if you caught any of it?
I only caught the first little bit of the game. I think I kind of switched it off once the Bucks were kind of doing their thing, right?
Yeah.
Then I looked back and I was like, oh, the Eagles are kind of making it a bit of a game here. And yeah, I was just scrolling through Twitter and I just saw like all the like sad face memes of all the Bucks bettors losing their cover bets.
Because a lot of them weren't even like as bad as mine. Like theirs was like 6.5. So if the Eagles just kicked the extra point, then they still would have covered.
Yeah.
Versus for some people's books, but that 2-point conversion fucked over a lot of people.
Vegas knows, man. It's crazy how well they can put those lines, man.
It's ridiculous. Because it always seems like, all right, yeah, the no chance Bucks are up by like 25. But then it always comes down to like within like 3 points of the spread. And it's like, how are they doing this?
Some mad algorithms, probably.
Yeah, I don't even want to imagine. But I have a few points here. Is AB back? Is he like...
Yes, 1,000% he's back.
Because
him and Brady got something going on this year.
It's unbelievable, like the return he's made. He has to be their best receiver, no? I mean, the way he's playing and the way he's kind of bringing back because he never really fell off. He fell off mentally, but he was still top 5 wide receiver when he pieced out on the Steelers.
Yeah, everyone knew the talent was still there. It's just a matter of when is this guy going to get his head on straight
Yeah.
to get back on track to what he was doing before. And obviously it's coming together this year, right?
Yeah, like because how long ago was that? Like 2 years ago? 3 years ago?
Yeah, it was all when he went from Steelers to the Raiders, right?
Yeah, so
I think that was 2018.
2018.
Yeah.
So he was top 5 wide receiver because I know that because I had him in fantasy. And then he went buck wild, went to the Raiders. And I don't think he ever played a game for them.
No.
And then he signed with the Patriots not too long after, played one game, had 50 yards and a touchdown.
Yep.
Got released, and then went to the Bucks, right? That was his.
Yeah, that's his timeline.
But so there wasn't. He didn't age a ton, and he didn't necessarily lose any steps within that timeline. It was just him not playing that kind of made him lose a step. It wasn't necessarily age or anything. So he still has the talent there. And I think now it's just finally coming together. That connection's just firing on all cylinders.
Yeah. And I feel like a big thing that's helped him out too is teams are putting their number one DBs on Mike Evans and Chris Godwin stuff, and AB's kind of slipping in behind with all the secondary guys. So yeah, I mean, him and Ray really got a good connection this year, and he's been an absolute steal if you have him in fantasy too.
Honestly, because he's having some big games, and he still that route running still looks elite, and he can turn small plays into big plays in a matter of that. So yeah, that was crazy. And then another thing that stood out to me, the Eagles still aren't running the ball. Jalen Hurts is running, but Miles Sanders only had 9 rushing attempts Thursday night.
I know, it's kind of weird. It's is that just because they've been playing from behind majority of their games, or is their O-line pretty bad? I thought weren't they supposed to have a good O-line this year? One of the best O-lines?
Yeah, I thought they were supposed to have at least a good enough O-line to run the ball more.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of weird. I don't really know what's going on with that Eagles coaching staff. I mean, it is a new coach, so that could be part of the reason, right?
Going into this week and going into this year, their backfield was looked at as a very solid backfield with Sanders and Gainwell.
Mm-hmm.
2 younger running backs, but they're supposed to looked at pretty good. But if you're only having 15 combined rushing attempts between the two of them, Gainwell didn't even get an attempt on Thursday night. It was just Sanders and Hurts who ran, and Sanders only had 9 handoffs. That's just crazy to me because of how talented Sanders is.
Yeah, I know. I think they definitely need to get him more involved if they want to be more successful, because they're relying way too much on throwing the ball right now, and teams are picking up on that, right?
Yeah.
You got to be multi-dimensional in your offense if you want to be successful in the NFL.
100%. And running backs are the position where you need to keep them going, right? The more they run, the better they'll produce throughout the game, unless they're just getting absolutely eaten in the backfield. But if you just give them 9 attempts, it's not even 3 times a quarter. That's just
just get cold.
Absurd. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's Thursday night. The London game. Jags get their first win of the season. Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence first NFL win. What were your thoughts on this one? Is
kind of a stinker game, not 2 great teams, but I was just up early that morning, so I just decided to throw it on, whatever. And the crazy part was that new kicker that the Jags have, just biggest nuts ever, hitting 2 huge field goals, one to tie the game and then one to win it.
Just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Because wasn't he just signed onto the roster not too long before that?
Yeah, I think something's health-wise with Lambeau, their regular kicker, and I think they picked him up off someone's practice squad. I think I couldn't remember who.
And he just comes in and just grabs him the first dub over
Yeah.
the pond.
You know, Urban Meyer was out with the ladies after that one in London.
Bangers and mash, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no doubt.
But Tua had an okay. I didn't catch a lot of the game. I'll be honest, I didn't catch any of it. I just caught some highlights and stuff. But he threw for over 400. Is he still the guy in Miami? Like, are they trying to almost play it into existence that he's the right guy, or should they kind of start looking towards?
I think he is. I think he's still young. I think he's got a bit of growing to do still. He threw a couple, I think it was 2 or 1 bad picks in that game, and they were pretty crucial picks. Like, I think one was, like, the receiver was nowhere near where he threw it basically right to the defender. And it's like, those are the things he's going to kind of correct over time and grow as he gets more accustomed to the NFL. And I think he's definitely still their guy. He just needs time.
Because I also saw another graphic that he was like 2 yards away from rushing for a first down, and he threw it, and then it just like turned into a 4th down where he could have just tucked it and run. Yeah. So maybe, like, do you think injuries play into that? Like, he's afraid to run?
Very well could be. I mean, that was his first game back from injury, right? So could be he's a little bit scared, but I mean, I think he's going to be fine.
I mean, because he hasn't had the smallest injuries, right? He almost had a career-ending one in Alabama with his hip, and then what did he do this time? He like broke ribs or something?
Yeah, it's like fractured ribs or something like that.
So it's like, it's not like a, you know, like a sprained ligament in your, like, it's not like something like
minor.
Small, yeah, minor. It's like those are 2 pretty like substantial injuries that could impact your mental strength. Just like, okay, like, is everything operating correctly, or is there something wrong with me? If I decide to slide, is my hip gonna just do what it did last time? Like, if I tuck it and run, am I going to get more broken ribs and sent me? Because it's been proven that he's fragile.
Well, so he is a smaller guy too, and like when he got hurt this last time, he got absolutely crunched by that D lineman. So like he could be a bit nervous, and that could be playing a factor into it too, right?
Yeah. Is Flores on the hot seat?
What are they, 1-5 now, right? I mean, I think people expected a lot more from him this year for sure. I mean,
people thought they were going to compete for the division, and they're in 3rd place.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy, right? That just goes to show how like unpredictable the NFL is, right? But,
I know.
I don't think Flores is in the hot seat. I think they still have time to turn it around. I mean, Tua was hurt, so that does kind of suck. Jacoby Brissett isn't really the same guy that Tua is, so
yeah,
I think they would have to have a pretty bad season for him to get fired.
If they don't win more than 5 games, where do you think?
Oh, so tough to say, because they've been like on this steady incline year after year, right?
Yeah, I say you give him another season.
Yeah, for sure.
At least
I agree too. Yeah,
because I think a lot of people would be playing recency bias, but a lot of people forget like they were a 10-win team last year.
Yeah, they've been on that for sure.
So I think with such a weird season, like if it's the same thing next year, then maybe like.
I think optics just look bad this week too, because they did lose to the Jags, and it was like the Jags' first win in like 20 games or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, that's true. Sunday slate. There's a lot to go through. We don't have to touch on every single one, or we can quickly do it, but we can just quickly touch on a bunch. But the Raiders, after the John Gruden incident, they have a clutch win within the division against Denver. Henry Ruggs decided to go off, 3 catches for 94 yards and a touchdown. Do you think the Raiders can stay hot and stay rolling and make a playoff spot?
I think so, yeah. I really think the Raiders have a good team. Their offense is stacked. Derek Carr's look good. defense has been playing pretty solid. So I haven't really watched like much of the Raiders like actual games just because there's so many games to watch on Sundays, right?
Yeah.
But I do definitely like the Raiders and their chances of making playoffs this year.
I definitely think I was wrong about the Raiders. A lot of people said watch out for the Raiders, but I didn't really believe the hype.
Mhm.
But I'm being proved wrong because they've been consistently solid, at least. But the Cardinals, 6-0. Are they the truth? Like, do you think this is just like a one-off season, or do you think that they've? Because I've always considered them like the little brother of the NFC West. Like San Francisco, the Seahawks, and Rams are always just so much better. But do you think the Cardinals have surpassed that?
Well, it sure friggin' seems like it now that they're 6-0, right? And
Yeah.
everyone after their preseason, everyone was so worried about them, like, oh, their offense isn't putting it together, and like they obviously overreacted to what they did in the preseason because they've been on absolute fire in the regular season so far.
Yeah. And what do you think about the Zach Ertz acquisition?
Oh, I love it, especially for fantasy because I have him in fantasy, so in dynasty. So I hope him going there really kind of gives him a new start, and he obviously needed out of Philly, and hopefully him and Kyler have a good connection.
I think that that offense I think is pretty scary now. You got
Yeah.
Murray in the back with James Conner and got not Edward Edmonds in the backfield, and then you got Zach Ertz flying up the middle, and then you got D-Hop, Rondell Moore, Christian Kirk, and AJ Green. And say what you want about AJ Green, but he's resurrecting this year.
Yeah.
In Arizona. So that's a scary offense, and their defense is playing solid. Byron Murphy, is it Buda Baker?
Buda Baker, yeah. And
Buda Baker.
JJ Watt.
Yeah, and then Isaiah Simmons is taking a step up. So that's like, I don't think they're like a laughing stock anymore. And you want to talk about take that look silly now? I say Cliff Kingsbury was going to be the first coach fired.
This year?
Cards are 6-0.
When did you predict that? It's like before the regular season?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Tough one.
Yeah, I was wrong. Yeah, I was wrong.
Chalk up the L.
Yeah. See you later. Is Washington the most disappointing team this year? We'll move on to the Chiefs football team. But they get pumped by the Chiefs 31-13. And I know it's the Chiefs, but Washington only putting up 13 points, and their defense is supposed to be so amazing. Are they the most disappointing team this year?
I'm not disappointed, but I think a lot of people are. I never really bought into the hype of their I don't know, the preseason hype that everyone saw on them. I mean, yes, their defense was pretty good, and then I think it's like so blown up just because they have Chase Young, right? He's such a presence out there.
Yeah.
And I think you need more than just one guy to be a complete defense. I mean, their secondary kind of iffy, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. And really, was their offense that great? They have Terry McLaurin and like Logan Thomas, but now he's hurt. So I don't know. I never really bought into it at the start of the year, so I'm not really too surprised.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of people had him like winning the division, and
yeah, I know.
That was me too. But
I didn't see it.
Moving on, the Rams topple the G-men. Daniel Jones, after that performance, just stay hurt next time. Okay, you really hurt my week in fantasy.
That game was tough to watch, man.
Yeah,
it was just a slaughter fest.
Yeah, he had 3 interceptions and a fumble. Back to his old ways. It was gonna, like, he was playing out of his mind, and out of his mind is just a standard quarterback play.
Yeah.
But is Darrell Henderson an RB1 in this league?
I think he's proven it, man. Like, Cam Akers getting hurt kind of really opened up the door for him. So
yeah,
and he's still so young, right?
I know.
It's only his third year in the league, so
yeah.
I think if he keeps balling out this year, I think the Rams might decide, hey, this might be our guy, right?
I mean, he hasn't. like he hasn't really had a bad game this year. Like
Yeah, it's just been consistent, right?
yeah, solid. Like he's getting like 70 rush yards a game. He's good in the goal line because he's a big back, and he's good in catching out of the backfield. Like you can't
Yeah.
really ask much more from a running back, and he's producing in that. And like it's hard to see a running back produce that much in such a high level offense because usually it's one or the other. But the Rams, like Stafford's getting he's firing, like he's slinging it right now, and Henderson's still like doing it on the ground. So it's really hard for defenses to like plan for them because they can kill you in both aspects. So I think Henderson can emerge as an RB1, like even after this season. Like I wouldn't be surprised if someone tries to trade for a running back out of LA, whether it's Akers or Henderson or something.
You never know how guys are going to come back from an Achilles injury too, right? Especially running back. So, I mean, I think they're pretty solid right now, running back, even with Akers out.
No, I totally agree. Colts dominate the Texans. Jonathan Taylor had a big game, 145 yards, 2 touchdowns. This one is kind of whatever. I didn't really pay attention to this one.
I don't really watch any of the games the Texans are in.
Yeah, true. The Bengals. Is Jamar Chase, could he emerge is he like a top 10 receiver, do you think? Because he's playing out of his mind right now.
Yeah, he's a freak. And everyone was like so concerned with this. Oh, he can't see the ball, right?
And that quote was taken so far out of context. It was unbelievable.
The media just took it and ran, man.
Because did you see the question?
No, what was the actual question?
It was like, what's the difference between a college ball and an NFL ball? So so all he said, he was like, well, the stripes aren't on the football, so it's a bit harder to see, but that's about it. And then people were like, that's why Jamar Chase is so bad. He can't see the ball, all that. And it's like, you guys that's not what he said. He was answering a question about what's the difference between the two. And he just said the obvious one was the stripes. And he said, yeah, obviously it's going to be easier because you see stripes coming around, but it's not like he didn't say that it was hard to catch an NFL football. It was just not as easy because there's not stripes on it. So like that quote was taken so far out of context. I was howling at it. And I'm not surprised at all that he's setting off right now because I think that Burrow-Chase connection is coming back to haunt. It's going to haunt the league for a few years.
Yeah. It's insane. I mean, they played together in college, and you can just see they have that rapport together, right?
Yeah. And do you still think that it was the right choice to pick him, or should they have gone offensive line?
I think he's kind of a generational talent at wide receiver, so I think you have to take him.
And it also helps that you have his college QB.
Exactly, right? I thought if we don't take him and he goes nuts, how stupid are we going to look?
Yeah. No, I also think Burrow had a part to play in that. He was probably
for sure.
Yeah, he was probably like, yeah, we can sign offensive line through the offseason or just get some next draft, but get my guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 100%. Packers beat the Bears. Rodgers, quote unquote, owns them. Did you see this quote?
I watched the whole game because I was with Brian, so big Packers fan, so I had to watch that game. But yeah,
when you ran it in,
did the old belt, and then yelled at all the fans.
I own you. I still fucking own you. Yo, that was like that was the most alpha move I've ever seen in my life. Because he was like, yeah, I was. As soon as I got the touchdown, I kind of blacked out, and I just saw this girl giving me the double bird, so I just told her that like I own the whole Chicago Bears, and I'm like, that is amazing. I'm back on the Rodgers train.
And I think this game should have been even more a blow. There was one touchdown that got called for offensive pass interference. You see that one? It was on Equanimeous St. Brown. He was in the end zone, caught it in the end zone. He literally just touched the defender, turned and caught it, and they called him for offensive PI. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, those ticky-tacky calls are so frustrating. It's unbelievable.
It's like those ones and the soft roughing the passers, and then the all the taunting that they're calling this year. It's just like
Yeah.
way too blown out of proportion.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. What some of the calls that like frustrate me the most is like illegal touching, where it's like a receiver, like they'll be playing like zone defense, and a linebacker or whatever will put his hands on like the shoulder, and the guy will just like kind of move it back a bit, and then he'll get called for like illegal touching when it had no impact on the play. Some of those are like they get to me. I'm like, why are you calling a penalty when like they were on the other side of the field?
Yeah, it
Like
can make no difference in the play, right?
yeah. But the Vikings carved the Panthers. Dalvin Cook, Kirk, and Thielen had over 130 yards in each of their respective categories and a touchdown. Kirk, I think, threw for like 375 and 3 touchdowns. So big game from their weapons on offense. But what are your thoughts on Darnold in Carolina? Do you think that he can succeed there, or is he just going to kind of stay the same?
No, I think he's looked obviously a lot better than he did with the Jets,
Yeah.
and I think it was a great move to go out and get him for the price that they got him at.
Yeah, they got him for like a third and a sixth.
Yeah, which is pretty good. So I think give him a bit more time. He's only going to get better in that with that on that team,
He's younger than Burrow.
which is crazy to think about, right?
Yeah, it's like he's been in the league for what, 3 years longer than him? 2
And
years longer than him?
his coach on Jets was Adam Gase, so
He had
we all know
no
what that guy
chance.
does. Yeah,
Yeah, like I still think that some people might still call him like a trash quarterback, but he's in a much better situation, and I think it's only gonna go up from here because he's still having a much better season from last season. So I think he's gonna take off pretty soon. This game was expected to be a lot closer than it was. Baltimore torches LA Chargers. What was it? 43-6?
something like that. I was fucking rattled because I had money on the Chargers spread,
Yeah.
and they didn't even look like the same team, man.
Yeah, it was very unlike the Chargers. Apparently we're also back in 2015 because Le'Veon Bell, Devontae Freeman, and Latavius Murray got in the end zone. Devontae Freeman was their leading rusher with 53 yards. Is Lamar Jackson, is he gonna finish as like top 3 MVP this year? Because I think he will. And I was so incredibly wrong on Lamar that I'm willing to eat that. I mean, mind you, it didn't really show this game. He didn't necessarily have that much success within the air, but I mean, the last few games he's been torching, so I'll eat my words there. But
I think I saw a thing today that he's on a better pace than he was his MVP season so far. So if he keeps it up, has a good chance. But I also think Stafford could be the front runner right now for MVP, the way he's playing.
yeah, Stafford's been playing out of his mind as well. This one, and also another MVP candidate is the one he just torched by like 38 points. Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert could be a sneaky one in there. Maybe even finish top 5 in voting. Not necessarily just because he's been playing well this year. I mean, that game just hurts him a bit, but never know how the rest of the season plays out. Another MVP candidate that I think will finish top 3 this year, maybe even potentially win it. Cowboys. They beat my Pats in overtime. Dak Prescott, he set off this game. He had 350 pass yards, a few touchdowns at a pick. First time that Bill Belichick has given up that many yards to either like Dallas quarterback or a quarterback under this certain age or I can't remember what the stat was, but that kind of made somewhat of a history game against the Pats. But did you catch any of this game?
Yeah, I did actually. I had money on the Cowboys, so I was rooting against your team there, but um, I just thought the Cowboys spread was a bit too small for how they've been playing. But fuck, the Pats made this a good game, man. I was really surprised.
Yeah, I was very happy with their performance. I think the Patriots are going to be a team where it's never going to be an easy game, no matter the opponent. Because the Pats, obviously on paper, aren't the best team. Some people consider them a playoff team. Some people don't. Our offense isn't that good. I think the highlight of our offense is Mac Jones or Damian Harris, right? And our defense, I think Matthew Judon is playing up to, if not surpass, his contract. Like, I think Judon's caused a lot of havoc, and JC Jackson's been solid, but we're like, some people consider us a playoff team, some people don't, but we are like continuously, like we say, we, like I'm on the team. The Pats are going to play each team like hard, and I think it's always going to be somewhat competitive, at least for the first bit of the game. But sometimes the team will just kind of take over. We could be like, we're 2-4 right now. We could be 500 or even 4-2, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think with Belichick, you guys are always going to be in close games.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing. And I think the thing that really sucked for you, that CD touchdown in OT, is you're kind of, if you're a Pats fan, you're like, fuck, I wish we would have had Stephon Gilmore for that, to be guarding him, right?
Exactly. But just think about, like, we could have beat the Dolphins, but Damian Harris fumbled in the red zone.
That was brutal too.
Nick Folk missed a field goal to beat the Bucs, but there's still time on the clock, so Brady most likely would have come back. But we could have took a late lead against the Bucs. Who knows what could have happened? We sucked against the Saints. We were terrible in that game, and then we got the wrong side of the coin against the Cowboys. And no, we had the ball, but we just couldn't do anything with it. So if we just made a few stops against the Cowboys, and Jacoby Myers had a touchdown, but got called back on a holding. So I think that our record is worse than how we've actually played this year. And yeah, do you think that
those are close games against good teams too, right? So
yeah. So I think it's a good sign moving forward, at least.
For sure.
Do you think Dak could win MVP this year?
I think so. I think the biggest thing for him is staying healthy, because he's already injured again, right? So if he can stay healthy, he'll definitely be in the talks, probably top 5. So
yeah, no, I agree. All right, we'll move on to your Seahawks. They just lose to the Steelers, 23-20. Big Ben's pump fake. That shit made me laugh so hard. He fumbled on a pump fake.
Yeah.
I'll let you kind of take this over and let you talk about your Hawks, what you thought about it, what you think of Geno, and just kind of going forward about the team.
Well, first time kind of being without Russ, right? It was in a long time. It felt like forever that I've had to watch the Seahawks without Russ being the starting quarterback. And yeah, it was different, right? Even the vibe was different. When they were driving down to tie the game or whatever, I was like, if we had Russ right now, I wouldn't even be fucking worried. But I'm shitting my pants right now. Smith, the quarterback. And I was like, now I know what it feels like to be a regular NFL fan, right?
Yeah.
And it was just I had faith in Geno, but just I was a lot more nervous, and it was a fucking good game though. The Hawks did manage to figure it out at halftime and make it into a good game. But I was so pissed with that Geno fumble in overtime, man. It was
that was heartbreaking.
Trey Brown, that rookie cornerback, came up, made a huge play to stop him on third down. just absolutely stonewalled that guy right on the third down marker. I was fired up, and then Gino comes out, first fucking play, fumbles the ball. And it was just heartbreaking, right?
Yeah. I mean, what a play by TJ Watt. He had like 5 guys on him, and then he breaks through all of them and fumble. If you're Gino, you got to hang on to the ball a bit better if you're running up the field. Can't be running with 2 hands, almost side to side. But I could only imagine how heartbreaking that would be.
Yeah, they gave me all the hope, thinking they were gonna pull it out, and then Gino just ripped my heart out.
And it doesn't help that they were on like the 20 when it happened.
Yeah, like they kicked the field goal on second down, I think it was.
Yeah, like it's not, if it was a fumble on like in their territory,
or even like midfield or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Then it still would have sucked. Would have been like, hey, they still have to drive a bit. And with Big Ben, and with Big Ben, like you never know with the guy, right? But it was just like it was like in the red zone pretty much. So it kind of sucks.
Game over,
yeah. Monday, the Titans win a fucking close one over the Bills. I think a lot of people had this going differently. I think a lot of people had the Bills crushing. But Derrick Henry, 143 yards and 3 touchdowns, including a 76-yard touchdown. This, like, is he even human?
No, he's not from this planet, dude. You haven't figured that out yet. And to think this guy wasn't a starting quarterback right when he came, starting running back right when he came in the league, fucking blows my mind.
Who was the running back ahead of him?
Murray.
He was on the Titans?
Yeah, he went from the Cowboys to the Titans. He went to the Cowboys to the Eagles or some shit like that. I can't remember, but yeah, he was playing in front of Derrick Henry, I'm pretty sure.
That is unbelievable.
I know. And he's just, whoever has him in fantasy, they just get fucking bent over by him every week.
In our points per first down league, he had like 52 points.
Fucking how many first downs did he have, man?
Like this was in week 2. He had like 52 points.
That's fucked.
And then he has back-to-back 33-point weeks. Even more for PPR. Because he catches a few balls out of the backfield.
Yeah, he's another level. But yeah, getting back to the game, it was a damn good game, man. I'm surprised the Bills really didn't pull it out, but great game to watch. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, like we're talking about Antonio Brown. Is he back? Emmanuel Sanders, I think he's found a nice place in Buffalo for him, because I think it's along the same lines as like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are getting the better matchups. Like I think Diggs and Beasley are getting the better matchups, and then Sanders is kind of finding the weak link on that defense, and he's getting open, he's getting downfield because he's not catching these little slants and out routes and stuff. Like he's making these 20-yard catches, 15-yard catches, creating it to 40-yard after the run. Like he's like, and he's getting in the end zone too. So I think Sanders has found himself a nice home in Buffalo.
Definitely, man. It's kind of resurrected his career. I mean, he was a damn good receiver when he was in Denver, right? Like he was their guy for so many years. So
yeah, he was unbelievable.
Kind of nice to see him find a new home and bounce back like that.
For sure. Jesus, you got Vin Diesel outside your window there?
Yeah. All the speed racers down the lane of bypass.
Menaces to society.
Yeah.
Did you see that kickoff trickery from the Titans?
No, I didn't. I missed it.
Oh, he just Buffalo, I think it was after a touchdown or a field goal, or maybe it was the beginning of the half or something, but they kicked it off to the left side, and then the guy who was it was a punt. It was a punt. And a guy who was like blocking on the Titans, like they're the basically attackers or whatever for Buffalo, he just ran back to the other side. Like act like he was blocking, and then he just booked it to the other side of the field that the receiver was on. and then the guy caught it and threw it across to him. The guy who was blocking, he ran all the way back, and then the guy caught it,
and
then threw it over. And then he got up to like Buffalo territory, but
holy shit.
It was an illegal forward pass, and yeah, and it was clearly forward, like it was called like, yeah, even the announcers were like, oh, this isn't gonna count because that was basically like an out route he just threw, but it was a cool attempt, and like it was a good idea because there was so much room on that side of the field. Like he could have easily gotten within like the 30-yard line, and they're on their own like 10.
Right. So you can do it if you throw lateral or backwards, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh shit. That'd be cool if it worked.
It was like 5 yards forward, like across. So it was like it wasn't really. He had to run up to it, and he started in front of him. So, but yeah, that's the NFL. That was actually a good week. It was a very entertaining week. But we're gonna touch on some NHL news. It was the first week of the NHL, and within that time, there was a few contracts signed. The speculation of Brady Tkachuk is over. That whole saga is done. He signed a 7-year, $57.5 million contract that rounds out to just under 8.25 annual average annual value. What were your thoughts on this contract? Do you think it's a bit overpaid? Do you think it's just right? Do you think he deserved a bit more?
I think it's pretty much just about right. I mean, he's kind of the heartbeat of that team, right? So they need to get him locked up, and I think he still has a lot of growing to do. And who knows, like maybe in a couple of years, if he keeps putting up more and more numbers every year, I mean, he kind of does everything too, so it kind of helps.
Yeah.
But if he can increase his offensive output as that Ottawa team kind of gets better and better, once their prospects kind of get up, I think it's going to be a great deal for Ottawa.
No, I kind of agree. I think it was a slight overpayment. I think around 7.5 was appropriate for him. I think 8.25 is pretty steep because the production hasn't been there yet for the amount of chances he gets. I know he generates a lot, but I think the value of his chances aren't necessarily high. Like he's getting a lot of shots on net, but they're not like big scoring chances where it's just like a few more bounces his way and then he like gets like 20 more points. I think he needs a bit more production, but I think it's also a young Ottawa team that isn't quite there yet, and I think within a few years his production could take a much bigger step. But I think it was just the value is just a bit over what I would have done. But I think similar to the Canucks, get him signed now and just get him back to the roster. I think it's important just to get him going.
And who knows, like once maybe some of those pieces like kind of start to build around him, like all that stuff could kind of work itself out, right?
Yeah, exactly. Charlie McAvoy also resigns with the Bruins, 8 years, $76 million, 9.5 average annual value. What are your thoughts on this one?
All these number one D-men getting the bank, man.
It's absurd.
It's almost like the number one D-man is almost getting more money than first line fucking centers these days, man.
I know. I think it's just so important because I think the market's very low on like a number one defenseman. Like it's just so crazy valuable in this league. But yeah, they're getting the bag for sure. And just think about it, this isn't like this isn't a flat cap world right now. So just think about if they're like the cap went up every year for the last 2 years.
It's crazy.
He could have got double digits. Who knows?
Yeah. That's why I was like pretty pumped when I saw the Hughes contract. I was like, oh, okay, we got a pretty decent deal on Hughes, right?
Yeah.
I know it's only for 6 years, but that's all right.
No, yeah, 100%. Because who knows? What if he has in his last year of RFA, which would be the 5th year of this contract, end of the 4th, going so the 5th to the end of the 5th. What if he has an absolutely unreal year? And we have a year of his unrestricted free agency at the term that we have him at now. So it just like it helps a lot buying that extra year, because if he has in his contract year or last year of RFA eligibility, what if he has an unreal year and he could just go somewhere else for more money, and we have an extra year? So I also like the Hughes deal. But big news also came out about Jimmy Hayes. Jimmy Hayes passed a few months ago, and it came out that it was to do with fentanyl and cocaine in the system. So pretty heartbreaking to know that he was going through that and battling that sort of addiction, or whether he relapsed after being sober for X amount of time. I don't know his backstory, but I thought that was worth noting. And suspensions. So it's crazy that we already have to talk about some suspensions in the league a week into the season. But Dylan Larkin got suspended one game for roughing Matthew Joseph on the Lightning. Did you see this one?
Yeah, he suckered him.
Just completely put him on the clothesline.
Didn't he punch him with his glove on still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just went across and just...
Because Joseph kind of...
He ran him from behind. Or at least, it could have been a lot worse than it was.
Joseph kind of held up, but yeah.
But, yeah, Larkin did not like that. And, yeah, he got him pretty good. I saw that, I'm like, I'm going to be getting a notification within a couple days.
Hey, good to see a guy stick up for himself, though, man.
Yeah, especially captain of the team.
Yeah, pretty solid.
Yeah, Landeskog, 2 games for boarding on Kirby Dock. Did you see this one?
Yeah, it was ugly.
He's lucky with 2 games, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's like on one knee, kind of just dumping the puck.
Completely defenseless, because no matter if he's aware of it, he can't do anything about that because he's on one knee. He has no stability to protect himself.
I don't even think he was aware of it, because he was kind of like focused down ice trying to dump the puck, and Landeskog kind of came like almost like blind spot to him and just kind of buried him, right?
Oh, I know that he wasn't aware, but I'm saying even if he was aware that Landeskog was coming after him, there's nothing he could do about it because of the position he was in.
Yeah.
But the fact that he wasn't aware and completely defenseless, being on one knee and having no stability to even throw a reverse hit or brace himself, I think it was a very dangerous hit. And the amount of force that Landeskog was putting behind that,
he drove him.
Yeah, it was a ugly hit, and I think Doc is lucky to be okay, and Landeskog is lucky with only 2 games, in my opinion.
And especially because, it's hard to say in the situation because it's such a bang play, and hockey's such a fast-paced game, but Doc really wasn't going to be skating away with the puck or anything. You could clearly see he was just trying to dump the puck and probably change or something like that. And yeah, Landeskog kind of just came in a little too hot. And
yeah, I agree. I don't think he needed to do that at all. It was kind of unnecessary.
Yeah.
But probably the biggest suspension of them all, Evander Kane suspended 21 games for violating NHL's COVID policies. He had a fake vaccination card.
Yeah, I know. I read that. Kind of fuck, what's this guy got to do to get out of the spotlight, right?
This guy is not helping himself.
No, not at all.
It's never ending with this guy. I don't think he was going to be playing for 20 games anyway. But first the allegations, and then more allegations about gambling, and then this, and it's buddy,
when's it gonna end?
Yeah, you're such a talented hockey player, and you're just losing so much. I think he just needs to fight one of the Paul brothers, and do something.
Yeah.
Do you see that he called out both of them like multiple times?
Yeah.
And everyone was like, "What's this beef behind? Like, why is he like going out of his way to try and get a fight?" And then like 2 days later, he like filed for bankruptcy, and it's like, "Oh, that's why."
Yeah.
I get it now.
Sense.
Yeah, I get it. Some injury things. Kucherov is out indefinitely, and I find this super hilarious because
They're doing it on purpose, man.
the injury was undisclosed, and I put this on my story today. I was like, "Oh, Cooch, we're not performing the way we should be right now. Just go on LTIR and then come back for playoffs." And then I saw another TikTok about Jack Eichel rumors, and it was like Cooch just went on the LTIR, or he's going to be out indefinitely, so they're going to have $9 million in cap space, probably. Like, don't be
Could you
surprised if he's
fucking
on
imagine?
They trade for Jack Eichel, and then like come playoff time, they have Cooch, Eichel, Point, Stamkos.
Mind you, Eichel would have to get his neck surgery still, so
Yeah, but if they provide the surgery, he'll be back by playoffs.
yeah, true. Fuck, that'd be wild.
Because they could still put Eichel on the LTIR, right?
Yeah, as soon as he gets his surgery.
Yeah, keep him on there until playoffs, and then bring Cooch back whenever he's ready. So then they still have both of them.
That wouldn't even be fair.
That would be so dumb. I'd be pissed.
I doubt that ever happened, but
Hey man, it's the Tampa Bay Lightning.
I just fucking feel bad for Jack Eichel, man. Get that guy out of Buffalo. Sorry, got to make T-shirts or something.
Yeah, well, I think I've brought it up on every single episode because of just how ridiculous the organizations are and how they're still a legal franchise in the sports world. It's beyond me. It's beyond me. But Crosby and Besser are set to return this week. Besser is expected to play Tuesday. We are recording this on Monday, so the game would have already happened when you've heard this. But some big news. I found this very interesting. Jordan Samuels Thomas. He's a black ref in the AHL, and he is set to become the first black referee in the NHL. He's set to become the first black referee in more than 17 years in the NHL. So that's really cool when that comes to fruition. I hope it gets to the point where this isn't big news, because I hope it's just the way of the world. And
Crazy to think that there hasn't already been one, man.
Yeah, that shocked me when I read that. That's why I felt like I wanted to put it in. But like I said, I just hope this doesn't get to the point where this is like big news anymore, right? I just hope it's a standard. Not necessarily like go out of your way to do it, but I mean, if someone's qualified, then they're qualified, right? Like, I just hope it's not like breaking news that there's colored refs in the league. But nonetheless, congrats to the guy, and I'm excited to see him in the league whenever that comes. But I wanted to talk about the Canucks because I am a Canucks fan, and I am the host, so I can do whatever I want. And Canucks, they are 1-1-1, and in my opinion, I think they've been the best team in each of those 3 games. I don't know if you've watched any of them, or all of them, or none of them. But against the Oilers, I think they came out slow, and despite being down 2-0 in the game, they came back 2-2, and I think they were still the better team. Just Mike Smith was playing very good. I think they ran into hot goalies in 2 of the first 3 games. Despite a 3-1 loss on Detroit, I think obviously you can say they should, if this happened, blah, 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 blah. But they had an opportunity to tie the game, and I think Rathbone missed a complete wide open net and hit the post. It was absurd that he missed, and then they hit the empty net to make it 3-1. But have you watched any of the Canucks?
Yep, I watched their season opener. They definitely did, like you said, start slow, but then they kind of got their feet under them, which was good to see. The thing that's bugging me about them right now is fucking Chase on PP1. Like, what the hell is that all about, man?
I think they're trying to play his contract into existence. Like, they're trying to make themselves look good for signing him, so they're going to try and set him up to succeed. Because if they don't use him for something, then what's the point in signing him? I think they're trying to like, okay, just go on PP1 and make us look good.
Why though?
That's only my theory.
Put Hoglander or someone out there, man.
I agree. Garland's not on PP1. You're paying Garland.
Well, now that Besser's back, he'll be on PP1 for sure. But
yeah,
it's like I couldn't believe that when I saw it. It's like, what the fuck is Travis Green doing, man?
Yeah, I have no idea. But what I do love about the Canucks power play is that we have depth at the quarterback position in OEL and Hughes. You can kind of switch them back and forth, throw them on the same one. But having at least one of those guys quarterback in the power play, I think is huge, because I think it's a very needed position on a power play, someone who can facilitate the puck well. And last year we had to run 2 defensemen because our second unit was so bad. But I think once Besser comes back, that second unit's going to strengthen. And I love the additions so far.
Yeah, they definitely look like a more stable, put together team, right?
Yeah.
It's just I'm really interested to see how the season's going to go on, and hopefully they have all those new guys, because there is quite a few new guys on the team. So hopefully they can just, as season goes on, maybe just gel a bit better, and hopefully we're in the playoffs again this year, buddy.
No, I think the Canucks have looked faster. They've looked stronger. They've looked feistier. I think they've outshot their opponents in every single game, and that was a huge problem for us last year. We couldn't get any shots on net. We were being outchanced, outshot every single game.
Every game.
But like Demko or Markstrom was standing on their head, and then we would win like 2-1 somehow, and we were clearly the worst team. So it was kind of a false reality. But I think we look better than we have in years past, and we're 1-1-1. That Edmonton game, I think we could have won that one. I don't think it should have. I just think we should have been in it from the start. But that's the first game of the season, so that's okay. The game against Philly, it should not have gotten to a shootout.
No, we had the lead. We just pissed it away.
Did you see that Ekman-Larsson penalty?
No, I didn't.
He batted the puck, and it hit a Philly guy in the face, Konechny, I think, and they called OEL for slashing.
The puck hit him in the face?
The puck hit him in the face, so they called OEL for slashing, and then they scored on that power play.
Brutal.
And then they scored on the empty when they were a man up.
All right.
So I don't think, and we were outplaying them as well.
At least we pulled out the win in that one,
yeah.
So it's like.
But I just don't think it should have gotten to a shootout, which should have been done in regulation. We were getting absolutely shit on in the first period, but then I think from the second on, we were the much better team. And then that game against Detroit, we were dominating that game, but Grice stood on his head too, and we just weren't capitalizing on our chances. So I'm very optimistic about this team going forward, and I'm excited to see how the season turns out.
Me too.
And also, Myers' contract is all okay now after that Duncan Keith hit.
Absolutely buried him in the corner, man.
Yo, he steamrolled Duncan Keith. And after years of complaining about his contract, I am okay now. It is fine. All is forgotten. But is there anything else that you wanted to bring up, whether it's Canucks, NHL, or football related?
No, I think we've kind of touched on everything, man. It's been great.
It's been awesome. And Tanner, as you know on the show, we do a thing called Time for the Press. And this week is a busy one. We got some questions. We got 6 questions here.
Oh, boy.
A couple of them we've kind of covered already. This one comes from Matthias. He says, why are the Dolphins so bad? He's a Dolphins fan. So he's kind of he's in the feels right now. But why do you think the Dolphins are so bad right now?
I think it's a bit to do with luck, but losing to didn't help, and yeah, I don't know. I don't watch friggin' Dolphins games, man.
Yeah, I think Dolphins got away. They could easily be 0-6 right now. Because who knows what would have happened if Harris doesn't fumble in the red zone week 1, and if it goes into overtime. But I just think Brissett never he just barely kept him in games when there's chances he could have stole games for them. Like, he was just a bit too conservative, and then he was making stupid turnovers. So I just think Dolphins are just they're scrambling right now, in my opinion. I just don't think a lot's going right for them. But I think that's why they're bad right now.
I agree.
This one comes from Sean Sieb. We've also kind of covered this. What do you think about Charlie McAvoy's contract? Too high, too low, or just right? I think it's just right, in my opinion.
I think it's going rate for a number 1 D man right now, man.
Yeah, and I think he's solid both ways. He's young, and yeah, I just think he's a top 3 to 5 defenseman in the league, and I think that's what they're going for. So I think it's just right. Also from Sean, where does Mark Andrews rank amongst tight ends in the league this season?
I'm just trying to think of guys ahead of him. So Kelsey's still ahead of him. Kittle's been hurt. Waller's kind of been so. I'll say 2. I'll give him 2.
He's, I think, at worst top 3.
Yeah.
But I would say 2 as well.
Yeah.
He's been balling out, especially the past 2 weeks. You could say Devin Knox or Dawson Knox is up there.
Knox, yeah.
TJ Hawkinson has done well. He's done, I think okay. Maybe like top 7.
Bad team, so it's tough for him to succeed, right?
But I easily think Mark Andrews is top 3, and I think he sits at 2, just like you. What you said.
He's definitely 2 right now, for sure. Top 3.
Yeah, I agree. Hayden Barton also asks, "How do you guys feel about the Seattle Seahawks?"
Well, they're my favorite team, so I love the Seattle Seahawks. I don't love the division they're in because it's like, how do you get out of it?
Yeah, it doesn't help them.
Now they're 2-4.
So are they last? What's San Fran at? Did they have a bye this week?
Yeah, San Fran's on bye, so.
Yeah. What's San Fran at?
They're 2-3.
Okay.
They're on bye, so.
2-3. So
I think now I hate to say it, but I don't think they're gonna make playoffs this year with no Russ.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
At least 6 more weeks, just that division. Arizona's 6-0. Rams are the fucking Rams.
Yeah.
So I just think it's that division. There's no way they're gonna make it out.
Yeah, I agree. Unfortunately, this one comes from Moslenko. He has a 2-parter. Who's going to have the most successful career between Makar, Hughes, and Fox?
Let me think about it for a sec. Fuck, that's a hard question.
It's very hard.
Fox just wins the Norris, so it's like, okay.
Makar was nominated as well, but he was hurt. So he could have won the Norris last year. It's just disguised by injuries.
And then I'm like biased because of Hughes too, so.
I'll say this right now as a Canucks fan, Hughes has the worst career out of the 3, but it's not going to be bad.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to be bad, but it's probably not going to be as good as those 2 guys. I'm going to say Makar.
I think
he's so young.
I think so too. Both young defensemen, both unreal players. I think Fox is better all around, but the drop-off defensively isn't big. I still think Makar is solid defensively, just not as good as Fox, and I think they can both produce on offense. But I just think with the team around Makar, it's a young, dynamic team with McKinnon, Rantanen. I think that team's going to be dangerous for a very long time. So I think Makar is going to have the most successful career. but it's going to be so exciting to watch those three guys in action.
Yeah.
The second part, whose contract is the most favorable? Now let me go through them. Makar just signed a 6-year, $54 million deal with $9 million average.
Yeah.
Hughes signed a 6-year, $47.1 million. That's 7.85 average. Fox is still on his ELC.
Yeah, he makes what?
$925K a year. But he's in his final year. So how much is he going to be worth? I'm thinking around 9 to 10.
I'm thinking around Seth Jones type number for him.
So like nine and a half.
If he has a comparable year to last year, yes, around Seth Jones kind of Werenski type number.
Yeah, and right now he has, I think, a positive plus minus, and he has like 2 points in 3 games. So he's off to a decent start. And Rangers are supposed to have an uptick this year. So it's hard to say with Fox right now, though. It's hard to say with Fox.
Yeah, it's kind of, so the question was the best contract?
Yeah, whose contract is most favorable?
Most favorable. I'd say looking at it, I'd have to say Hughes, just because it's that like 7 million mark, which is like gives the Canucks a bit of extra breathing room with the cap, and it might not be as long as those other deals. I mean, once Fox signs, it's going to be a probably max length deal, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's the same length as Makar. They're both 6-year deals.
Right.
And Hughes is just over $1 million cheaper, but I think Makar is on a deal. I think he could have gotten more than $9 million. So I think it's a little bit fabricated. But I think in the certain situation, I think Hughes is more favorable because I think the foundation he set for himself, he can only improve defensively. And he already has a very amazing... He's good everywhere else. It's just like his defensive metrics aren't that good. I think his size plays into that as well. But I think, in my opinion, I think all their contracts are going to be solid because of how good of players they are and how value.
Bless you.
I felt that coming as I was talking, and it just like it came. But no, I think with how valuable these guys are to their team, I think all their contracts are going to be serviceable. I don't think any fan base is going to dislike it unless Fox gets like $12 million a year, like unless it's something crazy. But I think it's going to be between like 8.5 to 10 around there. But
I definitely think Hughes is definitely the most team friendly though, or best bargain.
Yeah, I think so as well, just because of their situation too. Tanner, this was a ton of fun. I appreciate you coming on and giving your knowledge and insight on the NHL, the Vancouver Canucks specifically, and the NFL. Where can the people find you?
You can follow me at Tanner Rennich on Instagram and Twitter, and don't do any of that TikTok bullshit, so don't even try it.
Oh, that's amazing. But I plugged myself at the beginning of the show, but find everything for the show at leftsideheavy_ on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at leftsideheavy_. I already said that. And YouTube, Left Side Heavy. Be sure to subscribe. You can catch this full video YouTube episode. And Tanner, once again, thank you so much for coming on. You're always a solid guest on the show, constant reoccurring guest. And as for you listeners, we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
I just gotta let go. Went from ducking and fucking and now I got put in the friend zone.